What is Riesling? Riesling is a white wine made from the aromatic Riesling grape that produces fruity flavors. Historically, Riesling was produced in the Rhine wine region of Germany. The wine was first heard of back in 1435 in the inventory of the high noble court of Count John IV of Kazinibugin. From the very first production, Riesling was a popular beverage amongst the nobles of Germany. It was transported with amongst business dealings and conquest around Europe. Unlike the majority of wines, Riesling comes in a unique shaped bottle. A bottle of Riesling is usually tall and slender and stands out on the sleeves of your local supermarket. Riesling matures well and it's considered aged after around 5 years. If the wine is high in acid and sugar, it can be often be kept of over 20 years. However, if you plan on aging your Riesling, then you should do so with care and store it in the correct condition. How does Riesling taste? The taste of Riesling can vary depending on the area of production, but typically you will find the fruity and floral notes. The fruity notes can range from expressive citrus of pineapple to deeper stone fruits and can vary in sweetness depending on the when the grapes were harvested and how much yeast was added during the fermentation. Some other fruity flavors you may notice include lime peel, apricot, and pear. At most Rieslings, you will find floral flavors, usually citrus blossom and jasmine. You may also identify flavors such as honey, beeswax, and ginger. If the Riesling is particularly aged, you may notice flavors of petrol. This is a natural part of aging process, so don't be too alarmed. In terms of acidity, it has similar levels to lemonade. Dry or sweet? Riesling can be dry or sweet. The sweetness can depend on the producer, where it was produced, and when the grapes were harvested. Historically, Riesling was a sweeter wine when produced in Germany. However, the most Riesling are dry or off dry now. Even when produced in Germany, it was often made drier than it once was. Younger flavors of Riesling are fruit and flower forwarded, including first, green, red, or yellow apple, second, grapefruit, third, peach, fourth, pear, fifth, gooseberry, sixth, honeycomb, seven, rose blossom, eight, freshly cut green grass. The characteristic of Riesling grape. The Riesling grape is characterized by its green skin, round shape, and moderate size. The flavors and sweetness or dryness of Riesling varies depending on the vineyard soil and location. Each Riesling expresses the soil, nutrients, climate, and production methods used. This also means that sophisticated plates can identify the origin of Riesling just by tasting it. Four categories of Riesling in general. Riesling wines fall into four categories. First, sweet Riesling. Second, dry Riesling. Third, semi-sweet Riesling. Fourth, sparkling Riesling. Five Riesling types of acidic grape. First, cabinet, bone dry to off dry. Second, Spatlesi, sweet. Third, Auslisi, sweeter. Fourth, Bernauslisi, very sweet. Fifth, Takin Bernauslisi, sweetest. Riesling is used to make dry, semi-sweet, sweet, and sparkling wines. In winemaking, the delicate natures of Riesling grape requires careful handling during the harvesting to avoid crushes or brushing the skin. Without this care, the broken skins could release tannin into the juice, giving it a markedly better taste and disrupting the wine's balance. To preserve the fresh quality of Riesling, grapes and juice may be chilled throughout the vinification process. Immediately following harvest to preserve the grapes, more delicate flavors after the juice has been processed through a press and right before the fermentation. During fermentation, the wine is usually kept cool and temperature-controlled stainless steel tanks keep between 50 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 to 18 degrees Celsius. This differs markedly from red wine fermentation, which normally attain temperatures of 75 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, 24 to 29 degrees Celsius. Unlike Chardonnays, most Riesling are not fermented to undergo malolactic fermentation. This helps to preserve the tart, acidic characteristic of the wine, giving Riesling its bright, vibrant quality and not introducing any extraneous or distracting but buttery aromas. Riesling is often put through a process of cold stabilization, where the wine is stored just above its freezing point. The wine is kept this temperature until much of potassium bitartrate, the acid salt or tartaric acid, has precipitated out of the wine. Riesling food pairings. Riesling has a balance of sweetness and acidity, making it a perfect pairing with spicy food. Whether you opt for a strong and spicy Indian meal or an aromatic Asian meal with spices, it's sure to accompany your Riesling perfectly. For example, you could try a spiced duck leg or other meals based around duck, bacon, pork, chicken, shrimp, or even crab.